The Social Democratic Party says it has proof that electoral body INEC has today updated results it announced on Sunday in the governorship polls. The SDP says it has evidence that Murtala Yakubu Ajaka won the election by a landslide, but that INEC officials with the opposition parties announced a different result. The party has also accused Kogi State Commissioner of Police, Bertrand Onoha, and Governor Yahaya Bello for attacking the home of the Director General of the SDP Campaign Council, Sheikh Ibrahim Jibrin, as well as other members of the team. Right, we're joined now by the Director, New Media, SDP Governorship Campaign Council, Kogi State, Ijele. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsnight.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
Very grave allegations that you're making against the electoral umpire INEC there. Let me ask you the same question I asked our earlier guest. You know, is it a case of, that politicians, when they go to the polls, only prepare to succeed? They prepare for success and not for failure. Every contest, someone must fail and someone must succeed, don't you think?
And that is not the case here. The case is a broad daylight robbery, an attack on our democracy, attacks on the pensioners, non-payment of salaries, and the hungers in Kogi State. Those that have been abandoned, especially a lot of the local government, are a ghost forest in the midst of town by the Governor Yahaya Bello-led administration. And Kogite have made up their mind to vote him out. And I want to commend the security agency, that's the army, the police, the civil defense, and all the security agencies in the state for the first time since 1990, from my investigation, that will have a peaceful, free, and free election that everybody can stand on at their polling unit from morning till evening, even in Ijele. If you know where the town called Ijele, from morning till now, people were still voting. The security agency were professional. We thank Mr. President for providing such a conducive environment. Only for INEC, the people who are supposed to be the custodians of law, the rule of law, are the ones that are the breakers. Even the security agency, that some are not more educated as much as the so-called professors. Listening to this, it's as if we are leaving the fundamentals and just be calling INEC. It is time for us to hit the nail at the right channel.
Before we hit the fundamentals and hit the nail, good thing you're here, you should be able to hit that. Let's quickly talk about that grave allegation, because it started, but you still have not given us answers to that. How sure, or you want to share some of those?
How much proof?
Proof of evidence.
I have shared the proof.
Because you just said your candidate won, and INEC had to update that result to reflect that someone else won that election.
Okene produced over 141 result. From where? The accreditation of Okene is not up to 30,000. And how do you, and from yesterday, you can check on the 11th as at 9:01 p.m., the result of Ogaminana is in one of the polling units was 240 accredited voters. As at today, 2:28 p.m., it is now 7:50. Where is the magic coming from? These are insiders. These are IT gurus in INEC. Don't forget, I laid this allegation. I made a press release before election, and I accused INEC of plotting to rig Kogi election. And they came out mentioning my name, you know, that it is a fake news. I say this, that it is not. They are committed to a free and fair election.
Now you're here. You're saying that wasn't fake.
It's not fake. You said that before the election. They are the ones who are fake right now. If it is not fake, how can you give us 240 within 48 hours? You have not changed it. And are we daft? We have a situation room that every hour they are updating and checking what is there. So
but you do realize, I'm sure you've looked at that particular document, because we actually looked at it. And there is an aspect of it that says, look, this is subject to change. Whatever figures you see on that document, it keeps changing with time.
It cannot keep changing with time because, for instance, if the result of this world, there may be polling units that are not, that election maybe didn't hold. So you cannot conclude the result of those polling units until they, just like what is going on in Ogorimagogo local government. That cannot be a concluded election. Now, in a polling unit, okay, let me give for example, in Omala local government, we conducted a peaceful election with a good margin of 22,000 thereabout, and SDP have 18,000 plus, and then APC 2,000 something. And the result is still as it is. There is no update on that IREF. So why is it that the 3 local government that we raised alarm, and INEC gave a press release specifically mentioned the same place, the same local government that they are investigating, and that all the staff that are culpable will be brought to justice? All is to calm us down. Why they are planning how to rig the election for Governor Yahaya Bello? Shame on them.
What does your party plan to do now? Because there are indications we've heard from Ajaka that he may not.
Because you must have seen that he's not going to waste his time in court.
You see, not wasting his time in court is that at that moment you cannot just say you are going to court. There are process. With 7 days review, which by 2 p.m. tomorrow we have released mobilizing all our supporters to join him tomorrow 2 p.m. at the INEC headquarters. That is the first thing, to review this. We have submitted our petition at the spot. And sir, what is happening to our professors? Those who are sitting on that high table calling election. It is,
what do you think has happened to
it is because I don't know if professors that have studied to be a professor of political science cannot understand 1 + 1 = 2 and be calling 1 + 1 = 20. I think let's change the professors as our returning officer. Let's go back to the ancient day. Probably the pastors, the imam, or the Shango worshippers should be our returning officers, because the professors have failed. The professors have been our problem.
Don't you think there's something fundamentally wrong with the system? In a way that even if you had the Pope there, if the system is faulty, you will still have
Then let me take you back to Abia State, where we have Professor the professor, the woman professor that declared Oti as the winner of Abia election. She stood her ground. He said no matter the prejudice. In fact, go back to the constitution, to INEC 2022 as amended. The power given to the returning officer in that state, at that moment, she or he becomes the INEC chairman of that state to declare the election. He is responsible to review, to edit, to declare, to stop, to go on, to go back. It is not the fault of Mahmoud at that point in that Lokoja yesterday. It is not Mahmoud that will jump into a plane or helicopter to say, hey boys, stop. It is the so-called professor sitting down that is calling 10 + 10, 100. That is our problem. Those are our problem. Those people must be held accountable. And I wonder what they are teaching our children in the university. And I'm calling on the Nigeria youth to stand up in all the university campuses to question your professors that are our returning officer. Have they lost their integrity?
The same lady, Professor Nena Oti, that you refer to, she's also a professor. And as far as you're concerned,
that is a professor with integrity. There are people with integrity. Integrity is a personal upbringing or personal decision. You cannot enforce integrity on anybody. You cannot enforce uprightness and righteousness on anybody. It's a personal decision.
Ijele, you've made your points. We're hoping that we'll follow up with your political party in its conference tomorrow as they speak on the outcome of the election with the Independent Electoral Commission. We'd like to thank you for your time, and thanks for being the chorus. I can see
and don't forget, I was almost killed. They almost killed me.
That explains that explains why you're very angry.
I want to use this media to appreciate the IG for helping me and for releasing me unconditionally because I was innocent of what they accused me of.
It's a fine place for us to leave it. Ijele, who is the Director of New Media, Social Democratic Party Governorship Campaign Council, Kogi State. Thank you.